Welcome back to AF9 Deep Truth Files. They call me Ancient. Now today we're going to drop into some more videos. So I won't even keep it long. Just kick it off, hear what we're saying, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think as well.
Study done in Ohio State University where they were feeding rabbits diets that were extremely high in cholesterol. And they found to their amazement there was one group of rabbits that never got the high cholesterol levels. After a while, they found out that the technician who was feeding these rabbits, instead of just throwing the food at them, he would stroke them and pet them and cuddle them and kiss them and then feed them the same poisonous food. But now as a result of that experience of happiness, they made chemicals inside their brain and the body that turned the cholesterol into a completely different metabolic pathway. So it's not just the food you eat, but what your awareness, what your consciousness and your state of emotions is at the time you're eating. Your state of mind can convert nectar into poison and the other way around too, poison into nectar.
Message. Take it, do what you need to do with it.
I hesitated to make this video, but it's too important to ignore. What I found could blow modern medicine wide open. So there's an entire field of medical science that's real but hidden, and it's called quantum biology. Back in the 1920s, physicists like Heisenberg, Bohr, and Schrödinger discovered quantum mechanics. Then in 1944, Schrödinger published this book called What is Life, proposing that quantum mechanics is what keeps life organized. That should have changed medicine forever, but instead, the medical system...
Yeah, but it's not going to change medicine because Big Pharma, there's no profit in it. Why? Because remember, a patient that's cured is a customer that's lost. Why? Remember, all of these so-called treatment facilities, it's money. They need you. They're happy when you walk in with that cough, the sneeze, or anything like that because that's more money for them.
System doubled down on chemistry and reductionism. Then in 1953, DNA was discovered and misunderstood. Scientists thought it was just a chemical code, but what if DNA is actually a quantum antenna that links your body to consciousness? That idea threatened everything, so they buried it. And that's just the beginning. In the next video, I'll show you the proof that living systems really do run on resonance. In the meantime, make sure you grab my free book called Beyond Energy Healing.
Okay, I hear that.
Because the way quantum mechanics has me in a chokehold is crazy. So there's an extremely trippy theory called the decoherence theory. Basically states that we can do anything until we tell somebody. In the quantum world, atoms exist in superposition. That just means they exist in multiple states. They're basically all things and have the potential to be anything. And we humans, also being made up of atoms, also exist in multiple states. We are also all things and have the potential to be anything. So what does this mean? This means that you are not one version of yourself. You hold many paths, dreams, and callings inside of you. And all these dreams and goals and visions that you have feel very real, or they feel like they could become real because they are. They exist in superposition. Trippy, I know. Now, our dreams, our goals, and desires exist in superposition. This means that they can take on any form, have unlimited potential. They are all things in all states. But here's the thing. The decoherence theory suggests that atoms exist in superposition until they start interacting with their environment. When a limitless atom interacts with its environment, it enters decoherence. This means that we humans, also being made up of atoms, are limitless until we start interacting with our environment. And this is why children tend to think they can do anything. You ask a child what they want to be when they grow up, they're going to tell you a shark. Because spiritually, energetically, on a quantum level, they are currently still bound to superposition, their infinite nature, due to their less time being engaged with the environment around them. So what does this mean, and how can we use this theory to start winning in our own lives? This means the moment you start interacting with the outside world, opinions, noise, trauma, expectations, your infinite potential starts to collapse. Because again, once an atom interacts with its environment, it loses its superposition, it loses its unlimited potential. So in retrospect, you go from infinite to just one version of you. And now, depending on the environment, the version of you that becomes can be negatively influenced. Unfortunately, because most of us do carry trauma and we have to hear the negative opinions of others, and we do subtly comply to the expectations of the structured society, we end up accidentally landing in a place of just that. Our infinite, limitless, atomic nature then becomes entangled with the basically structured societal environment around.
So, in kind of a nutshell, what she's saying is, keep your business to yourself. Don't walk around telling everyone what your goals, dreams, and aspirations are. And the next thing is that heal, because if we all got traumas, things that we're working on, we're leveling up. That's why we're here on this channel, to learn how to level up. See what I'm saying? So the more you level up, the more you get back to that infinite state, in that infinite state, rather than being finite. Stop telling people your business. Like the kids now, we're saying they ask them what they want to be, they will tell you some random out of this world thing. But it is possible. It is possible because they haven't been affected by the outside world as yet to tell them that no, you can't. Yes, they can. And yes, you can. So you got to tap in to your inner child as well. Tap into that infinite part of you.
Yes. And without noticing, we may become a version of ourselves that fits into the mold of that space. This proves many theories in quantum physics about how humans or atoms, or whatever you want to call it, become entangled with who they're around, what they're around, the environments they're in. Many quantum theories touch base on that. And that's basically what decoherence is: the loss of your clarity because of too much contact with the wrong environment. Spiritually speaking, if you don't protect your energy, the world will shape you into something you're not by default. This also means once you share your goals or your dreams, you lose the ability to see its infinite capacity. And naturally, you'll begin to shrink your dream or goal to fit in whatever environment or space you're sharing it in. This is why it's important to spend time in solitude with your dreams and desires, because it's that separation that keeps you in coherence. It keeps you in superposition. It keeps you limitless. And this is ultimately what flow state is. You ever see someone that's so locked into their goal or dream, or even something that they're currently doing, that they don't want to be bothered? And when is in flow, it's almost like the world outside of them in that moment doesn't exist. And to a capacity, it doesn't, because they're not interacting with their environment. They are so locked in that they're able to remain infinite, limitless beings, achievable to all possibilities. When you're not entangled or distracted by your environment, opinion, stress, life, you are able to be more creative. Individuals in flow state often come up with ideas that seem to be supernatural, unattainable, or just too good to be true. You're ever sitting alone and quiet and come up with the craziest idea?
And next thing, if your dreams are not, when you think about it, if they don't scare you, when you think about it, it's not big enough. It should scare you.
Yeah. Because that state, when you're locked into your own limitless possibilities, that space you're in before allowing your ideas to become entangled with your environment is superposition. And in that state, you are in coherence. Now, the second that person in flow begins to interact with their environment, they are now out of superposition and their state is now in decoherence. So yeah, I just thought that was such a cool theory. Protect your space. Take time alone. Stop telling your dreams and goals to everybody, or better yet, the wrong people, and reconnect with your full potential before the world tries to tell you who you are. Okay, hope that helps someone. Love y'all forever. Mwah.
Tips on alignment. Those are tips on alignment. Take with it, do what you need.
Are 3 things that you can physically do to heal your body. This is the article. It's called Effect of Conscious Intention on Human DNA. It's a very interesting article by this guy, Dr. Glenn Rain. This article is amazing. It's kind of long. It's a really super long article, so I'm going to give you guys the cliff notes, but this article has really helped me so much. In the article, he talked about whether conscious intention can affect the genetic code. So in the article, he talked about how thoughts can literally affect the DNA of cancer and tumor cells.
So his findings suggested that conscious intention, and especially when it's combined with mental imagery, can measurably reduce tumor cell growth.
All of this should be done while your body's in a really calm and relaxed state, maybe during meditation. The first step that he talks about is setting the intention. So basically what you want to do is sit down for a few minutes and set your attention. Whatever it is, whatever body part that you're working on, you want to say, hey, I'm going to restore my body part, whatever body part, to its natural order. I want this specific body part to be rejuvenated and completely made whole. The second step is to sit for a few minutes and visualize your body being total love, and send love from your heart and your mind to that specific body part and to the cells and the DNA in that body part. Tell the cells and the DNA that you love it, Feel the feeling of it and just rest in that for a few minutes. For me, since I was having problems with my hips, I would say I want my hips to be restored to its natural order, and I would send love to my hips. I would send love to
Even though she's telling us all of these things, that channeling, set the intention and channeling the energy throughout our body to the specific destination that you want the healing to begin. It's not a one-off quick fix. So I guarantee this is a repetitive thing that you got to do over and over, because one as well, the energy that you're sending, it could potentially not be strong enough. And like I've said over and over in multiple videos, it's like a muscle. You have to train it. So eventually your energy has to get so strong, then it can affect change. Because I agree with the thoughts, because everything around us came from a thought. Everything. The pen in your hand. There was someone who thought about this in their mind, the spirit realm, and then brought it over into the physical. So it is possible.
all of the DNA and the DNA in the nucleus and the cells of my cartilage and of my synovial fluid in my hips and in my knees. Number 3, and lastly, is to visualize. Take a few minutes and sit while you're in a relaxed state and visualize your body working just as it's supposed to work, in perfection. So with me, I visualize myself running at the gym. I visualize myself waking up in the...
That's right. Visualization. Now, if you can visualize yourself doing a specific thing, that means that 50% of the job is already done.
morning, forgetting that I even had pain and just walking around with no pain. I would just visualize it. So whatever it is that you're trying to heal, just visualize that part of your body working in its optimal condition. I was doing this as I would go to sleep at night. I would do this, take a few minutes and do this while I was laying in the bed. And eventually I started waking up in the morning and forgetting that I even had pain. Like I usually wake up with pain. Eventually I was waking up in the morning, hopping out of bed and forgetting that I even was experiencing any pain. We are super powerful beings. We just have to remember how powerful we are.
Exactly. Because you see those medicines that we take, the so-called painkillers, you know what they do? They tell our brain to forget as well. So why can't we train our brains to do it as well?
Subject of quantum reality, the non-material world, and breath work combined. So we know the world is non-material in nature. We know you and I are non-material in nature. So talk about what breath is in this non-material world.
So a wonderful question. As I said, the first thing that happens when you're born is you take your first breath, the inhale. And then the last thing you do before you leave this human experience is you take your last breath, which is the exhale. So breath and life is the same thing. And as I say, breath and spirit is the same thing. It's very interesting when you study the ancient phenomena of what the ancient yogis were talking about for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And also in many indigenous languages around the world, including in Australia, where I reside at the moment, breath and spirit, the word for air, breath and spirit is the same word.
Mm-hmm. Respiration.
Exactly mm-hmm. right. And so what I believe is that we're all walking around with the superpower hidden right underneath our nose, and no one's really taught anyone how to use it. But then we have the research of Wim Hof and the ancient yogis and many, many others that are now starting to come back, where science is finally catching up on what spirituality has been teaching for thousands of years, that breath is indeed a superpower. And we know its effects on autonomic nervous system, default mode network, and many other things, of course.
How do you blend the science of the quantum field in with the breath work? Why is this called quantum breath work?
It's a great question. I had that as an experience. So I left the hospital, I went home, and I sat up on my bed, and I was just waiting for an instruction because I'd been given an instruction and I wanted to know what to do. I was told to breathe. I was told to breathe in and out through the mouth and to move the energy from the base of the spine to the crown. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know about the torus field at the time. I didn't know about, the divine masculine feminine and the electromagnetic and all the aspects that make up who we are, as you said, as a non-physical being. Mm-hmm. But I kept on breathing very extensively and I passed out on my bed.
I'm not surprised.
But I woke up and I had a smile on my face. And I felt wonderful. Now, the thing with the infection is that I had a hole in my skin on the right hip for a year and 2 months. And I would notice that when I was eating unhealthy or stressing or sleeping properly, that hole would get bigger. Mm-hmm. So I knew what made it worse. And similarly, if I would do a fast and pray and meditate and eat clean and so on, the hole would get smaller. And when I woke up the following morning after doing the breath work twice, the hole had shrunk more than I had seen in over a year. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, wow, I don't know what that was, but I'm going to do it again because I feel great and it's certainly doing something. Second time, third time I'm doing it, emotions are coming up. When I was young, my brother passed away. I found him passed away in his bed when I was 5. He was only a baby.
Oh.
So as I'm breathing, that was, of course, the issues are stored in the tissues.
Sure.
Right? And so as I'm breathing the second day, these visions of finding a blue baby are coming up. And the visions of me being bullied as a child at school is coming up. And I didn't know why, but I trusted the process and I kept on breathing. And I felt like I was releasing trauma, stored trauma in my cells in the subconscious mind. And long story short, I had the infection for a year and 2 months. I tried everything that I was told, looking outside of myself.
You notice the same thing came up again about the trauma. It seems like keeping us in this traumatic state with PTSD and all of these things, it does block us. These things create blockages. The energy is not moving fluent through our bodies. The chakras are not connecting as how they should be.
For healing, and in 3.5 weeks, I healed myself using the power of breath. So to answer your question, I truly do believe that, as Max Planck said, we're made up of 99.9% pure, non-physical consciousness.
Exactly.
And this is how we can tap into the consciousness, using breath. Meditation is a great tool, many other great tools, but breath is the boy.
I would like to know, almost on a mechanical science level, why that is.
Great question. I love this question. So what we now know is that the breath and oxygen, including CO2, the combination of the two has a direct effect upon the autonomic nervous system. So we have the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and then the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. These are the two parts of the branches of the autonomic nervous system. Ancient yogis have been showing this for a very long time, how we can have power over our autonomic nervous system using our breath. So it has to do with oxygen and CO2. But also, science has shown now that you will literally change your brain when you breathe. There was a study out of Oslo in 2013 that showed you actually have a change to the gene expression using yoga and breathwork. They had 111 changes to the gene using yoga and breathwork, and only 38 in the test and controlled group. So that's one way, and the other way is, of course, also down-regulating the stress response or the sympathetic nerve response. Downregulating the default mode network in the brain, which has to do with ego, survival, often overthinking, beta brainwaves, that sort of stuff. But also accessing, the superconscious. I think this is an interesting conversation to have, activating the pineal and pituitary circuit in the brain.
Okay.
That was a lot.
That's a lot. And shall we go there now, or shall we go to the energy center system, which has to do with chakras, interference patterns, or should we hop right to the pituitary?
I think it's great to cover the energy centers first. So when I finished clinical practice in 2016, I was burnt out and exhausted. And I wanted to take some time out to quote unquote find myself. So I thought, what better to do than to go on a journey into the jungle in Peru and sit with the earth, be present, meditate, and so on and so forth. So I took a trip into the Sacred Valley. And after a 30-day fast, I did 20 days on water and 10 days on just eating herbs. I started having some very interesting spiritual experiences.
I would think.
Yeah.
You're too associated with the body by that time.
Exactly. And it was good because I needed to purify myself. I've been in fight or flight, in sympathetic dominance, and most people are in sympathetic dominance. This is part of the problem.
Yes, it's part of it. That is a chronic issue for society at large globally.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And this is why breath can actually change that, which we'll come to in a moment. So I was in Peru. I was, experiencing this long-term fast, and I started receiving visions and downloads. It was the first time since the time when I had the spirit come through and share with me that I needed to breathe. And I started seeing colors, and it was the chakra system, red and orange and yellow and green. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. I know about these chakras, but I've never really done anything with them. It's like knowing meditation, but not meditating, like knowing nutrition, but not eating clean. So I was like, I feel like there's something within this. So I started researching the ancient Vedic teachings and through the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads and so on. And I found an ancient blueprint that showed that the primary interference pattern, the biggest problem for the activation of dormant energy, for the healing of the human body, for the illumination of the mind and the brain, the biggest blockages are lower frequency emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. Fear.
Yeah, 100%. So Einstein said there's fear and love, all other emotions are derivatives of these
Right.
too. And I discovered there's deeper layers to this. So fear blocks the first energy center, the root chakra. Guilt blocks the second one.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then shame blocks the third one. Grief blocks the heart, and so on. Now I started studying this and going deeper, and it brought me to the work of Dr. Hawkins, who of course was able to quantify the vibrational bandwidth. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, in so many of his books and his work, he's been highlighting this, including the book Letting Go, which is a wonderful piece of work. And he showed that fear vibrates at approximately 100 oscillations or cycles a second. Guilt is at 30. Shame is at 20. So 0 is death.
Yeah.
Okay, so feeling not good enough or ashamed of who you are is just a little bit healthier than being not here.
Right.
Grief is at 75 and so on.
I mean, it's like shame is self-annihilation on some levels.
For me, if you know, depending on how deep you want to go, but for me, in theory, I feel shame and not feeling good enough. It's almost like disrespecting the universe.
Yes.
Because you're a unique being with so much love and light and beauty and potential, and not feeling good enough is making it about you, not about your gift to the world.
Well, that's a long-standing program.
Pay attention to that. Let me just pull that one up just a bit. Let's go back to that one. Just a little bit.
Depending on how deep you want to go, but for me, in theory, I feel shame and not feeling good enough. It's almost like disrespecting the universe.
Yes.
Because you're a unique being with so much love and light and beauty and potential, and not feeling good enough is making it about you, not about your gift to the world.
Well, that's a long-standing program on Earth.
Yeah.
That's ubiquitous and has been going on for tens of thousands of years. And then you have the rest of the societal parental programming underneath that. But it's the larger framework that is the problem.
Yeah. But that's starting to
Let me
clear.
pause it.
Yeah, that's
see that it can recalibrate itself, and then
it's beautiful. Your work and other people's work is coming forward just as that other big program in effect is starting to clear, which is beautiful. So anything more you wanted to say about that, about the lower emotion? Can I add something at this point? Okay, so I have a very strange birth defect in that I don't create cortisol, almost none. And it's very rare, but when you're about to tank through some kind of stressor, it took me many, many years to figure out I could actually stop going into shock in the beginning of the downward spiral, just through managing the fear that comes up in response to the feeling that you're dying. And so whenever it would start, I used to just like, oh no, it's happening. And the fear would rush through, and then boom, everything unconscious, have to be rushed to the ER. I almost never have to go to the ER anymore. All I do is say, no, breathe, you're fine, you know what to do. And that changes the outcome. And it's a serious.
Okay, it seems like there's a slight issue right there with the video, but we got the message. Make sure that we get the message right there. So it's leading back to the same thing again, where we have to begin to heal, and then the more you heal, the more you tap into the authentic you, the real you. So no wonder by design when you watch the news, there's always there's always sadness, always low vibrational things. But I wouldn't disrespect it like that, because you need these tests to make you stronger. What don't break you make you stronger. So it's time for us to be passing these tests. So when they hand it over, okay, I've seen this 1,000,001 time. Let's go. Let's work on that. Let's fix it. Let's become immune to it, so we can get to our infinite self or infinite self and stop being the finite self. Let's become limitless. Let's do what we got to do. Let's put in the work and get it done to become the maximum version of yourself.